If you want to implement a banner ad as this one that we can see at the bottom of the screen, this video is for you because we are going to implement a banner ad from zero, doing all the configurations in Unity using Unity Ads. Let's start by explaining what is a banner ad. A banner ad, as you can see in this screen at the bottom of the scene, is just an ad that can be shown covering just part of your screen so the user can keep interacting with the rest and with the different elements, can play, etc. So let's say that is an ad that is not as intrusive, not annoying, disturbing so much as the ones in full screen. A banner ad can be at the bottom or also at the top position of your screen, even in the corners. You can put it to the left or to the right, and will allow the user to keep playing, interacting with the app. So most of the times you will not even notice that an ad is being shown in there. Okay? So now that we know what is a banner ad, as this one, we're going to do the step-by-step to implement it in Unity. For this, we're going to go to the documentation. We are going to follow every moment during this tutorial the documentation of Unity that is quite clear and straight to the point to see the step-by-step you need to follow. So the first step will be to install the Unity SDK in your Unity project. I have created a new Unity project that is in here, where I'm going to implement everything from scratch. So one important thing to mention before starting with this tutorial to let you know is that Unity is changing their approach, their strategy in the ads, in the advertisement. Basically, they are focused now in the mediation instead of the typical and the legacy way of showing ads, only from Unity. So in this video, we're going to implement the advertisement legacy package, that is the old way of doing this, only using Unity to show ads from Unity. But as I was mentioning, now Unity is switching to a new way of doing things, that is the mediation. The mediation is when multiple ad networks, as Google, Unity, AppLovin, or others, are bidding to be the ones showing the ad when you request one. So let's imagine that in your application, when the game finishes, when the user finishes playing, you want to show an ad in full screen. You will request an ad in full screen, an interstitial, and the different networks are going to bid to get that spot and show their ad. So Google can be bidding $1 for each 1,000 impressions. Unity can be bidding 2, and AppLovin bidding 3. So the one bidding higher will get the spot. In this case, will be AppLovin showing the ad from their end to the user. So this mediation allows you to maximize the money, the benefits that you get from showing ads, and is what Unity is trying to do right now. So let's implement from our side just the legacy option. It's just using the Unity ads directly. It can still be used, no problem. The only thing is that will not be improved. We'll keep as this. So for this, we need to go to the project, we need to go to Window, Package Manager, and in here we need to find the advertisement legacy, that is the name of this package. Important, we need to move to the Unity registry to see all the different packages available in Unity, not in my project because it's new, has nothing. So advertisement legacy, we install, it will import everything that we need, even we'll ask now for confirmation on downloading some extra things to resolve dependencies and so on. We accept everything, and this will be the first step, basically, that is to configure everything that we need, the package in our project to show ads. As you can see, once this finishes, we will be able to see in our project, if we go to the packages, the advertisement legacy with all the files that we need to show ads. So let's wait for this to finish resolving the dependencies to ensure we don't have any issue. And we will move to the second step, that is to configure in our Unity Cloud account, in our dashboard. For this application, we are going to enable the ads, and we are going to create our unique game ID, and also we will create in the future some ad units for the banners, interstitials, etc. So the library is completed, all is good, and we can go to our dashboard. If you access to your Unity account, you go to the dashboard and you select the application or game, the project you are working on. In this case, advertisement Unity. You will have to enable in here the monetization. You can do it on the one side from the left. If you have this shortcut, you can go directly to Unity Ads Monetization, or if you don't see it in the dashboard, you go to project settings, you scroll until you see the monetization and you can launch it. It will be the same, okay? Once we are here, we are going to enable ads. This button on the left, we see, we will use Unity Ads, not the mediation in this tutorial. We click next. Do you want to use ad settings from an existing project? As this is the first time that we are configuring Unity Ads, no. But if you already have one project configured with Unity Ads, you can copy the settings to not need to configure and replicate everything once again in your new project. So it's quite interesting to save some time. Let's say no, and then my app is not live yet. In the future, we will need to link it, okay, in the Unity. For now, we create the project, and this will be our IDs. Our game ID for Apple, for iOS, and our game ID for Android, okay? In this tutorial, we will configure everything for Android. So now we see the panel with all the revenue. We didn't start with this project, so it's at 0. And we can create from here the different ad units, the rewarded, interstitial, banner ads, whatever ads we want to show. And depending on the platform, we will target one or another, Android, iOS. By default, Unity is creating these 6 ad units, but I remember seeing in the documentation that it's better to use custom ones, to create new ones. So in my case, what I do is just I archive them, and I will create my own and new ad units. Like this. Okay, so now let's create the ad unit for this tutorial for the banner ad. For that, on the top right, we will click add unit. We need to provide a unique name, adver ads. I will put ads banner. For Android, the format is banner, and we have one advanced setting that is basically the refresh rate. Every 30 seconds in this case, the ad that is showing will change to another one, to a new one. This is something that is done automatically. You can configure a range between 10 or 40 seconds, because at the end, if the user is seeing an ad and for 30 seconds it doesn't interact, maybe it's not good enough for him, and it's better to change to a new ad, to have again the opportunity of this user to be interested and clicking in it. At the end, showing the ad gives us revenue, but when we will get most of it is when the users click on it. So we need to ensure that the ads keep changing, also that the user has enough time to see it, because maybe as the banner is shown in a small place of the screen, maybe it's doing things and forgets about the ad. So we can change it, for example, to be 20, but I would recommend to keep it as default in 30. But well, let's create the ad unit. Okay, it's not allowing me to create the ad unit. Let's try again. Sometimes it's failing, but for no reason. Yeah, you can see. I didn't do anything special, just I didn't change the refresh rate, but it will work anyways, because I have done when I was preparing this video. Okay, so we create the ad unit. This is the ad unit for our banner, okay? So whenever we need to show a banner ad for this game, it will be the unique ID to use. Perfect. So now that we have configured everything also in the cloud, in the project of Unity, we're going to go again back to our project, and we're going to create a new script where we are going to set up everything that we need. I will create a new folder, scripts, and inside it I will create a new script that will be the ad manager. So let's open it. And in this ad manager, what we are going to do is just following the documentation once again. we are going to initialize the SDK. So we are going to start coding and we are to configure everything so that we initialize the SDK and we can start requesting ads to Unity. Okay, so let's go back to the project. The script should be almost there. Yeah, here it is. And we will just copy paste from here. The documentation is good enough to copy paste. We need the Unity Engine advertisements. We will include it at the beginning. And now we are going to check what we need and what we don't need. Because in this case, the code that is being provided is so that you can configure your project for multiple platforms, iOS, Android, and depending on where the application is running, if you are running it in iOS, the game ID will be the iOS one. If you are running it in Android, the game ID will be Android one. But to make it simple, we have the IDs in here, remember. To make it simple, I'm going to just use Android. I will configure just the Android one for this tutorial. So let's start with the different variables. On the one side, the Android game ID. We already know the value of this game ID. It's in our dashboard. Let's copy. And we will put it in here. What else we have? We go back to the documentation. The iOS I will ignore. We have the test mode. When we initialize the ads, we need to tell Unity if we want real ads or just test ads because we are just trying our application before launching it to real users. This is something that is very important because if you are testing the application, you are installing it in your own smartphone and you want to test it, always use test mode equal to true. Always use test ads. Why? Because if Unity or any network detects that you are using or clicking whatever ads in your own device, that will be considered as fraud. So we need to avoid that. We don't want to have problems, bans in the platforms or restrictions. We need to do things well. Test with test ads. Later on, we will change this to false and we will show real ads to the users, but whenever we create a package to publish it in the store. Okay? Perfect, and game ID, we don't need it because we are already directly using this one. So on awake, we will call the method to initialize the ads. Let's get this method. We will get whatever we need from it. It's, I will delete the update. We don't need it. And we don't need to assign the game ID. It's already done at the beginning. If the advertisement is not initialized and is supported, then we initialize for our game ID, that is Android game ID, with the test mode configuration and this script. One important thing is, if you look at this, we also need a listener to know the status of the initialization. So let's include it because it's very important. That's why it was giving us that error. But this listener now gives the error because it needs two methods: on initialization complete, on initialization failed. What we do when the initialization of the Unity Ads SDK goes well or wrong. Those methods are here. So we can just copy them, put them in here, and if the initialization is completed, in here we start requesting ads. If it fails, just a message, it failed, and that's it. So whenever it's completed, we will start requesting the ads, as for example, the banner ad. But well, this is the initialization step. With this we finish. You see, we arrived to the end of the screen. Now we can move to the banner ads. That is the last part of this tutorial. We have already initialized the ads. Now we are going to implement a banner ad. And also we will learn later how we can manage it. We can show it, we can hide it. Depending on what we're gonna do in our game, probably at some point you want to hide it, not even be there even if it's small. Have a clear screen with no ads, then show it again. So depending on the flow of your game, what happens, you may like to do these actions, and we will see later how we can do them. So for the banners, the same. We go to the specific section where it's explaining everything. What we are going to do, we are going to copy this, the position of the banner, okay? This variable, it's important. Where you want to show this banner? We have multiple options. By default in the documentation is at the bottom center. That is the one I like the most. But you can see we have many other options. On the bottom, but on the left or right corner, in the center of the screen. I don't know who uses this, but well, it's also a possibility. And the top center, left or right. In my case, I am used to do it in the bottom center, but well, depending on the design of your application, you may like to put it in a different place. Then, what we need? The specific @unit identifier for our banner. I will copy this variable, it's important, and we need to replace this value with the one we created for sure, because we want to use our banner, add minus banner. I will put it in here, this is the specific game ID for Android, add unit ID for my banner, so that Unity knows what is showing and who will get this revenue in this case. This application and this specific ad format. Good, so let's go back to the documentation. We are going to see what else we want to do. We are going to set the position of the banner and we will load the banner. Okay, all these things, I'm going to do them in a new method that I will create. Will be a public void request banner. Like this. In here I will put everything. So once the initialization is completed, I want to call this method request banner so that it requests and shows a new banner just at the beginning of my game. So in here we set the position. Let's copy this. I am ignoring the rest of the code because it's about the buttons to hide or show the ad. I will do that manually instead of via script. So we set the position to the one we configured, that is the bottom center. We are going to load a new banner. For this, some options are configured to notify the load events, and also the banner will be loading in here. So let's copy this code. The options, we don't need to change anything. In here, we need to change it because we need to use our custom variable, that is the add unit for our banner, okay? Instead of Android add unit ID, I could call this banner add unit ID to distinguish it in the future, in case I want to create in this same script other kind of add units, so we will distinguish them by the name, like this. Perfect. So with this, what we are doing is loading a new ad, but we need to show it. This is giving errors because those methods doesn't exist yet. When the banner loads, what we're gonna do? When the banner gets an error, what we do? But they are just here. So we are going to copy paste on banner loaded, on banner error in here, and also we will copy the show and hide that we want to use later. On clicked and shown and hidden too, those are methods that we can use. I'm not going to use them in this tutorial, but well, they exist, so it's good to have them. Let's modify everything. So on the one side, when the banner is loaded, what I want to do? I just want to notify in the logs that the banner is loaded. I don't want to do anything on here. What I want is to call the show banner add method. If it's loaded, let's see. Let's show it directly. That's it. If the banner, we have an error, as it says in here, I will attempt to load a new one. I will request a new one. Let's see if this new one works. So when loaded, I show it. When there is an error, I request a new one. That's it. Show banner. What we will do is basically show, but in this case is the banner add unit ID or unit ID, like this. How is it called? Banner add unit, okay. Add unit ID. We will show it, and when we click in the hide button that we will create now, advertisement banner hide. Okay, show is advertisement banner show, and you need to tell him which add unit you want to show, because you may have 2 banners. I don't know why someone will need 2 banners, but well, you may have that configuration. Perfect. So well, this is it. Let's save the script. Let's see in Unity if we have any kind of error or something. And to finalize now, let's first test that this banner is showing. Right now, with what we have, it should work. We initialize the SDK. Once it's initialized, we request a new banner. We load the new banner, and when loaded, show it. Let's see if this is working. And later we will create 2 buttons to do and configure the corresponding hide or show actions. So, okay, this is not going to work because I need to create an empty and put in here the script. Right now, there's nothing to execute. In my scene, I will assign the ad manager to this empty. Let's do it again. Now, yes, my script is going to be running. And let's see if it's able to show the ad. As you can see here, we are seeing the ad at the bottom center as we wanted. So it's working. Now, to finalize, let's include 2 buttons. Okay, in the UI, I will import the TMP, obviously. One of them will be the hide button. We will put in here hide. Let's make the button a bit bigger. Yeah, like this. And now let's copy paste this one for the show. The opposite. Show. The text will be show. And the position, to not overlap, we will put it below. Okay, perfect. So now I will assign to these buttons the corresponding methods that we configured, show and hide. Okay, for hide, we got it in here. Okay, we don't have it in here. We copied it from the documentation and it's missing the public to be able to use it. Oops, sorry, public and public, the same. Let's save, go back again to our game, all good. And we're going to assign these methods. One important thing that I noticed now that I moved the buttons in the UI, let me configure the show. Okay, so before testing, well, let's test it, okay? I will click play. By default, you know, initialization, the banner loads, and we show it. Okay, and here you have it, loaded and showing. If I click hide, it will hide. If I click show, it will show, and we can do this every time we want. Obviously, in our game, we are not going to do it with buttons. We will do it directly in the code with logic. But well, the possibility is there. But what I wanted to tell you is that it's very important that you make sure that your UI elements, as these ones, are not covering the banner ad. Else, obviously, by the policies of the different ad networks, this will be something not good and the same. You can get problems. So make sure that the space where you expect to show the banner is always free and the UI elements are not interacting and are not overlapping with the ads. Okay, that you can clearly see the ad with no elements disturbing in the middle. So well, that's how you can configure a banner in Unity Ads. Hope you like it. Thanks a lot and see you in the next video.